He claimed Gare was taken from you. And is in that essence that the Lost King finds the greatest champions. Those with nothing left to lose, but yet so much they want to gain. And so you found yourself in a place that is harder to explain than you would have liked. A place away from a city environment that you've ever known, and a wilderness. For what purpose, it wasn't clear at first, but over time, you can start to discern it was more of a message. Regardless of where you've been and what you've done, there is always something new just over the horizon. Even in the shroud of darkness, there is opportunity. There are friends, obscured by beasts, and there are shadows that, although they whisper, not everything that seems to forbid good is evil. But you get to be in the city of Wandering Hearts, at least as far as you are aware of and know, with the awesome shop of, well, I guess it once belonged to Midnight? But I guess we know you as Midge. And so as we settle into town with literally a workshop, a broken down tavern, and a glorious citadel in which no passage into can be given, the first thing I want to know is where you are in your mind and what is it that you want in this moment? Whether or not it's just an actual thought or an activity you seek to achieve in this moment. And we'll start with the person who owns the shop.
So as soon as Midge gets back to anywhere where she has like a semblance of, oh, I recall it here, and I'm feeling comfortable here. So if she knows the workshop, even though she can't remember almost anything of her previous life, this is her, like, she feels like Tom Bombadil in this workshop, essentially, like untouchable. This is peak her. So the first thing that she's going to do once she gets back is to go about making sure that all of the traps and alarms that she's set up before departure don't go off as she re-enters. So there are a lot of like magical like locks and some actual like alarm spells that she's like set off or like set up for herself that she's gonna like try to take down. Like probably will just move a couple of like marbles or caltrops that like have been, you know, left somewhere inconspicuous, and is going to try to break back into her old shop, so that she can find her her buddy and get back to work doing what Midge is always doing, which is prepping.
The Lord's
And
work.
as you try to break back into your own shop, you can either give me a acrobatics to navigate it, or we'll do a history to actually recall your own traps.
Sheesh. Okay, cool.
I love a sheesh. That means both options are bad.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's
Midge, you reckon you're from here?
yeah. This my shop. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just now. Okay. How do we? Do you know how to get in?
Well, yeah. Just give me 1 second, and I can just flip this. And like as you're talking to her, she's like got her hands through like a garbage chute and is like flicking something like in a wall behind her. Sorry, I think I've rolled.
You did
Do you
roll
need
it,
help
and that's
with
a
that?
natural 1. So as you
I lose my arm in the garbage chute. Midge has no arm now. That's fine.
you attempt to make your way through, and this is your shop. Definitely. That wall was always there, right? No, the floor was always like that. Was the ceiling always that tall? No. And it is going through that recollection that it's almost like you recognize the environment, but nothing is in the way you would ever have things. And it starts to become a disaster as the alarm starts to ring and it starts to make this obnoxious sound as you trip over a tripwire, which then almost cleaves you as you have a random piece of like a saw blade from a workshop table swing through, but time is kind of whittle it down and it simply just smacks into you. It does kind of cut a bit, but it doesn't shred through you like you intended. Or perhaps maybe that's not how it was intended. It's hard to even remember the intention you had in your traps, if it was to stop someone, to dissuade them, or to mutilate someone who chose to break in. But after several dings where you get a few bruises, small scrapes, you are able to get into your shop. Not without a memories of pain to go with it every time now.
As Midge is walking through, if I assume she would invite folks to join her as she kind of comes in. She's just like, all right, be careful for that step there. That's gonna walk. Okay, all right, yeah, it's gonna do that. It's gonna hit you right in the eye like that. This should be sharper, and I think somebody's been in here for sure. Yeah, this is it. Hold on, and that will continue just kind of going through saying nonsense for however long it takes her to get in here.
Okay. And once you're able to get in, unfortunately, a lot of your tools aren't here. Not like they're misplaced, but just simply not present. So much so that you remember that very specifically you had this unique wrench. It's almost like a multi-tool style that you would keep on one of your benches to the side. And what's ominous about it is you see the silhouette of it as if it was made of almost like glass and it would be there. But you try to reach it and you can't physically touch it. It's almost incorporeal. It's ethereal more than anything, and you can't seem to interact with that. And multiple tools across your space is like this, ethereal and intangible, even though it's completely visible. You just can't seem to interact with it. And the more you focus on it, it changes from a wrench to maybe a hammer, and other tools shift. Your memory isn't able to put correctly what would have been there.
Well, tarnation, that's not what I want at all. She just is gonna continue to just kind of do that thing where you keep trying to do the same thing over and over again, expecting different results with this wrench. It's like, all right, it's fine. D, little bud, you around?
And you
And
do start to hear very soft. It sounds like almost like the crinkling of metal and like the sounds of gears grinding that are a little stiff as it.
Oh, that sounds terrible. All right. Sorry, I'm gonna have to work my way back into the voice now. Okay, I think we're here. Ish. Oh, buddy, you just oh, it looks so bad. What she kind of leans down to where her homunculus servant is. And probably with the first time that you've seen any sort of affection or anything that isn't just confusion or aggressive like chaotic manic energy from Midge. She's gonna lean down and look at this mechanical. It's like a kind of its back is domed and it looks like a bit of a soccer ball, patchwork of metal kind of connected together. It has four legs that can extend down to walk, but they're kind of shrunk back up right now. And it also has a little hover jet built into the legs. If it was working at its full capacity, he could be just zipping around, but obviously he needs some work done. He kind of just looks like a little tortoise, just kind of crawling around. And she's gonna turn to everybody and be like, I'm so sorry you have to see the place like this. I have not been here in clearly what seems to be a while. Poor Dougie's down here. He's all rusted up, but you're welcome to stay as long as you'd like. There's some cots and whatnot in the back, and I've got enough beans to keep us fed for the next century or two. So help yourself to anything. You see it around. She's
You're
she's
all in the
gonna
shop.
yeah, she's gonna work primarily on fixing her servant so he can not be.
And then I have an important question for Benoit. Your quote unquote family. Were they all similar in the sense that you consider they all be quote unquote feline approach? Were they all beast folk of some kind? Or was it truly like a hodgepodge mixed mafia?
You've seen that's not Beastar?
Beastar, yeah. That's
Let's
kind of what you envision.
let's go for that.
So it's more of a animal collection, but definitely animals of multiple variety. Okay. Just wanted to note that. And so as you kind of stay this time in the shop, Midge, Ikori kind of manifests. Granted, you don't know if he manifested or if been there the whole time in one of the shadowy corners, just kind of leaning back, arms crossed. Interesting. You remember. As it kind of waves its finger around the room, pointing out things.
Hi, Corey. I didn't realize you were coming with. It's good to see you again. Yeah, no, this is my place. See, I've been here as long as I can remember, and yes, this is the space. It is a little bit untidy since I came here last, but it doesn't look like anybody else set off the traps. But some of the traps weren't working 100% right, so could have been somebody in here. I don't know. Once I get little buddy working, I'll be able to get the down low. We'll see.
Oh, well, you and your friends, I believe you may be able to help this land handle the things I can't.
What kinds of things? I mean, I'm pretty busy. I'm gonna be busy for the next couple of days. Just fixing things up around here. It's a mess. But yeah, what do you need?
We need collections. We believe scales have been dropped. And you can hear like the way they're speaking is almost with a tone of confusion. It's the tone you get is someone trying to remember what they're saying as they're talking.
Uh, I'll yell over to anyone who's listening. Does anybody know anything about scales getting dropped?
Scales. I'll
It's another trap of
scratch
yours.
my forearm as if you meant like scales.
Oh,
And
I
Ikari
know.
sees that and kind of the I a a dragon fell some time ago, but where it fell, we can't go.
Okay, well, problem solved, my friend.
And you can see like it's starting to get flustered as it's trying to like
Just to be clear, we can't hear Ikori, right? It's
Oh,
just
sorry.
Midge.
yeah, you can't hear Ikori. It's Midge kind of speaking with Ikori,
I'm
and Ikori
relaying.
can
Yeah.
hear you guys.
Okay.
As Midge sees Ikori is like flustered, trying to remember, and is slowly, despite not being tangible to the others, their visage and form kind of starts to become mildly transparent as if they're fading a bit.
Where are the scales, Midge?
I, I, they used to belong to a dragon, and it fell where a quarry can't go, but he hasn't said specifically where.
Going to be tough to retrieve them if we don't know where they are.
Head west. Volpine. Volpine will meet you. And their form fades entirely.
You okay?
It just... Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm fine. He just disappeared. All of a sudden.
Of course.
I typically need either a good reason or good pay to do a job. We are
Well-
just running errands for a ghost at this point.
Well, do you have anything better to do?
I planned on
Hand me that
seeking out
wrench over
this.
there.
I grab something nearby and toss it. I don't know if it's a wrench or not.
It's like a small little wrench piece.
Well,
It's none of the big tools
I
are
was
available.
brought here on invitation by the Lost King.
Oh,
I expect to accept it in person.
I guess that's also a good option. I mean, I already found where I look around to see if I see a fourth member of the DK crew.
Nerafine is currently not down there at the moment.
And the family member.
Also did not go inside with you either.
I'll look back outside.
You do see Nerafine's taking care of some like mild prayer. And you don't see Sugar as you saw before. You actually see something slightly different. Similar clothing, but you take note of the pattern that was on the face that had more of like the white mask with the black marks has actually shifted to a little more a protruded snout of sorts. It seems more like the canine essence of the figure is coming through. Though incomplete, it's like a half snout out, but you can still see some of the humanoid features. Ears trying to poke through, but also these human visage. And it's almost like you can see it shifting between the two in a more corporeal and incorporeal state.
You need help?
As you know, is kind of like shakes and tries to like align as it shifts back into that more human visage.
Oh, let it out, man.
I would like to.
Do you need help?
Nah, the things aren't compatible right now.
What does that have to do with anything? Ce n'est pas compatible. What is this?
I wasn't invited, so I'm not allowed to stay for long periods of time.
Okay. I just found you. I can't lose you again.
You keep doing what the city needs, and everything gets fixed.
Does that mean that you'll come back with me to see your family?
That's the hope. But Sis is here.
Who?
My sister.
Ooh, is that a good thing?
It could be. You know that there's at least two sisters, an older and a younger one. If it's the younger, great. If it's the older, it can go either way.
Which one is it?
And you kind of see as he like gets, he's trying.
Point down if it's the little sister. Point up if it's the big sister.
And he like gets ready as he attempts to take his hand. You see it getting ready, and his form almost shatters.
Okay. The reflexively yell, "No!" and try to grab him.
As you do, you're able to just get bits of what it seems to be the almost like dust from his body almost disintegrating and moving through the air, and most of it seems to just completely disappear, but you do have a bit of this almost like glowing dust. It's a very small amount. It's like a pinch of salt's worth, but you're able to hold on to it while the rest of everything dissipates. This pinch of dust remains.
I'll come back running inside, panting. He's gone. There's the. Do you have something? I need a bowl, something, a container, please.
Oh, we got plenty. We got plenty. And she'll like just grab. She's got containers for days around here. Everything's a container that's stacked inside of another container that has like bits and bobs and whatever. Take as much. Here.
I'll put it inside a container and try to keep it.
And so you have this small this container of the glowing dust.
He was outside and he just he broke.
Maybe he has insulin problem.
Sweetheart, this isn't a person. This is some sand. You feeling okay? And she's gonna like do that thing to like put her hand.
I'll back up and I say, you talk to invisible people and I talk to people that break apparently, so be careful.
Oh, you're right. This could be me too.
This could be all that's left. I don't know what happened.
I never did get the incinerator working outside, so I don't think it's me.
He just went and I couldn't grab him, and this is all I have.
Doing.
What's the first part?
What was he doing?
We were having a conversation. It's just, I don't understand. He said something about not invited and being short. I'm not sure.
Well, between the two of you, I'm sure we have plenty of non-corporeal things to talk to. But how long till you get this shop back up and running, Midge?
I mean, she's running now, but is she running tip tier? No, honestly, it's my first time having guests down here in a while, and she needs more work. She needs to obviously look, it's disgusting. But I could have it in a few days.
Do you have rooms or places I could put this without any danger?
Jay, please let me know if I am going way too far into the weeds here. But what I imagine from like this workshop is basically like, it's like, it is all underground. The building above is basically just like sticks, and then there's a staircase to like walk down into it. There are like traps and stuff on like the first level, but everything else is like underground. But it's one giant like floor plan, so like maybe, I don't know, like it's like the size of a small house, but there are no walls. But there are drawers and cabinets and like open shelving everywhere. And in between those shelves, Midge just goes out and like tugs on one and can like pull out a wall essentially to like make the floor plan into what she needs in case people come over, but more often than not, she just uses it to create additional barriers to trap herself in when she sleeps in case she's under attack.
Yeah,
But
no, all
yeah,
allowed.
you can make yourself a room. I've got plenty of, oh gosh, bedrolls, you name it. Hold on. And she's just gonna like open one of these drawers, and it's just like one of those like magical scenes where like the drawer opens and it's just like infinite like sleeping bags. It's like pick whatever you want, and then if you need stuff around, it's just all. Most of the drawers have a label, but I don't know where the label
Do you have
maker went.
large size sleeping bags, little lady?
I got enough. I got sleeping bags of all sizes. I got one that I think it could feasibly fit a Tarask if you want, but I don't think you're that. This one should work just fine. And she pulls this one up. It's got like a superhero on the front, but it is made for an adult.
I'll grab it. You want one? You could hide in it.
No, I'm not tired. I think I will leave, actually. I'm going to walk around.
Grab
the
some
city.
food.
I feel uncomfortable as I don't have my bearings. I don't know anything about this place. I think that Shimmer would go and walk the block, walk the city, try to get a layout, try to get an understanding of what's here. And we're supposed to be solving problems. So is there any, like, I'd be looking for problems that need to be solved. I mean, if it's just a matter of like, he knows that we're supposed to head west and look for this Vulpine. But that's not a lot of that's not a lot of
did Mitch
information.
share that name? Got
I
it. So
think
if
so.
Midge actually shared the name Vulpine actually does ring at least to Benoit. Vulpine, unfortunately, is the name of the older sister. The one who chose to leave the family simply because she thought she could do things better. Unfortunately, her better way was always a little more extreme and permanent.
I'm violent, but she is something else.
Yeah. Like there was almost a sense of
Okay.
like she enjoyed making people suffer rather than doing it for the family. It was a personal
Pleasure.
Yeah.
She's a weird
I
gal.
think then in that case, like if that's being shared, that would hit a nerve of for Shimmer, as this is somebody who I would be hired to go and kill. I feel like this is my wheelhouse as far as like finding monsters and killing them. So I think, yeah, I like you guys as you're doing all this stuff.
Well,
Like, if the
I'd
idea
have
is
to share that
we want to stay here and
information
rest.
with you.
You haven't. Okay.
I have. That's why
Um,
I'm like, we're having the conversation, and I'm explaining that
okay.
to you. Like,
I got you. So I would say, is the plan to regroup here and set off to take care of Vulpine tomorrow? Because
yeah, we're pretty
I can
banged
go
up.
get some. I would be more comfortable if I scouted the situation out ahead before we did it.
Yeah, I agree. I would if you feel comfortable doing that, I think you should. But bring back some French bread or some croissant if you can.
And this space happens to have
If I see a
lot
bakery
of...
in the ruined city, I'll stop.
Back in the shop, since everyone's kind of like having this conversation, Midge, does your shop have a lot of random doorways to random parts of the shop structure?
I
I feel like I can picture what you're talking about.
Sure. Why not?
All right. As you're kind of having this discussion,
I do
Shimmer,
want to make a clarification point.
Go ahead.
There's only one way in.
That's what I assumed. One way in, but a bunch of doors to.
Oh yeah. Like it's all a distraction technique. Like the whole time, like there are doors that just don't open ever. Like just there. Yeah. It's chaos.
Okay.
It's the Winchester Manor, but a workshop.
It's like halfway what I was like, just clarifying on that. As you are conversing, Shimmer, you hear faintly on one of the doors just a slight knocking. And almost immediately after, a few, like maybe 1-2 seconds, 2 then 3 of the doors, kind of you hear knocking. And only you hear this, Shimmer.
This is on coming from multiple doors.
Yep, different doors, you hear the knocking.
Shimmer looks at, like, makes eye contact with both of you and just goes, and he's gonna sneak. He's gonna like do this, like leave you guys here, sneak over to a door that he's tracking where they're happening. I'm gonna go to a door that I think where it's gonna happen next and wait for it to happen. And my plan is that when it happens, I'm gonna fling the door open and have a Chilleri ready.
Okay. As you're kind of tracking it, you take a moment and no one else hears the knock. So as you approach one of the doors, you hear the knocking on it. And you sling it open. And instantly, as you do, dozens of hands clamber out and start reaching to grab you. I need you to make me a dexterity saving throw.
Are we seeing this?
No, you are not seeing this. You see him open, and then there's the response to these hands. 16.
Did it roll it?
Yep. With a 16, you are able to avoid most of them that are seemingly sharp. Not sharp. Their nails have been unkempt for so long that these long, calcified appendages that would otherwise cut through flesh miss. But some of them are still able to grip and try to pull you in. And there's a moment when everything goes dark and you slide into the room. Midge and Benoit, you see is, for some reason, Shimmer just slips into the door and it closes behind him.
Do you have any pets?
Just Doug.
Look at that little robot.
You are in a dark place with no signs of anything in the moment. And then a flash of light reveals you in what you can only describe as a restroom, like a gas station restroom style. You see the sink in front of you, this very dirty and dingy mirror, writings along the walls, the tiles are broken and grime upon it, and all you have is this very pale red light above the mirror illuminating the space and you. It seems to be maybe like a 10-foot by like 5-foot private bathroom with one doorway out, no windows, just you and this sink that's running and slowly filling up the basin that seems to be clogged. You're muted.
That's all that's in the room is the sink that's like running?
Yep, the sink that's running.
Or that's all I can see.
Small mirror that allows you to see yourself. But
is it me that I'm looking at?
It is you.
I'll turn the water off.
As you go to turn it off, the handle breaks and the water starts to sputter. And from this not clear, it was a little calcified water, it shifts to this darkened black color, almost like as if you mixed oil with it. Benoit?
After that happens, I would be curious enough eventually to go check and try to open the door to see what's going on.
When you open the door, all you see is what would be a closet that's no more than like a 3x3 space that's maybe used to store like cleaning supplies, and a incorporeal, intangible form of shimmer, almost like a ethereal version of him just standing there.
I'll look at the room and say, I think there's something. I just come see this.
Yeah, come on.
And made you see the same thing. It's this clean. It would be has a few supplies, maybe for cleaning, tempering, but there's shimmer incorporeally standing there.
I put my hand through him.
You go to reach, and it's cold for you. And shimmer, as you're kind of you kind of turn the nozzle to try to stop the water. Your body, you feel this chill in your abdomen. It's like that spine tingle, but only in a very specific place.
I think I would glance in the direction that I feel the touch from.
And all you see is the doorway that would be seemingly the only exit out of this room.
He doesn't seem like he can hear us or even feel. Hello?
You hear very faintly, Shimmer.
Hello. I'm glad you made it.
Glad you were glad. Who are you?
And Benoit and Midge, you hear Shimmer's words.
Well, I'm the one you left behind. Because
You hear on the door again.
Does that ring a bell to me, Jay? I'm the one you left behind.
It's not directly ringing a bell. However, this bathroom is familiar. And you take a moment and kind of, when you turn the water off, you were focused on that. But as you kind of take a moment, you realize along the floor, there's bandages soaked in blood, towels, and other little forms of fabric. You take a moment, there's no injury on you, but you can kind of see small splotches of blood that seems like you've been rubbing, but you couldn't get it out. As you hear once again.
I try not to leave behind, at least none alive.
I know. But you left me. You left me with all the others. All my friends. They don't move anymore.
I think the door is open still, but I'm hearing
It's closed.
knocking. It's closed. I think I will say I prefer not to live. May we speak again. And I'm going to hit the red light above the mirror, break it, dash to the door, and try to open it through.
You dash through in the darkness and you open the door. What you're greeted with is a foyer to what would be an old house. This opening space where the stairwell's to your right, and there's decorations along the wall, but you notice streaks of red along that side, and it's impossible to see any further detail that direction as you see dozens of bodies on the ground. At least 3 or 4 of them having your signature weapon still impaled in them. You hear very faint groans amongst these piles of bodies. Why? We tried to help you. And you start to recognize this place. Was a simple location. These people helped people who were on the run. But you made sure that if you need to get your target, you do what you need to do. And they weren't going to let you get your target. They fought. And they fought. But the rest of it's a blur. That's the problem. You remember trying to get to your target and these seemingly civilians fighting back without any self-preservation.
Do I get the idea that they were doing that of their own volition?
As far as you could recall, yeah, no. They told you to leave. They asked you to pretend you didn't see anything, that they weren't here. Your target was not here.
I'm gonna follow the trail of like death until I find I'm trying to recall, like as I walk, I'm looking down at these bodies and I'm trying to recall what was I hunting? What was I hunting? And I'm just following them until I can I'm trying to figure out what it was I was after.
You make your way up the steps. You see handprints along the wall, streaks of a hand trying to like leverage itself up higher and higher. Until finally you see very clearly this door that has two handprints, one on the door and one kind of on the frame, showing that someone has tried to open it. And it's as you make your way up these steps and get to that floor that the closet for Benoit and Midge, it glitches. The incorporeal nature of the room changes to give you this like view of a 3x3, 3 foot by 5 foot by 5 foot square of where Shimmer is in his strange place. You're seeing it almost as if it's a projection of where he is and what he's doing.
I'll politely
Oh.
curse and back away.
Can we see like the bodies and stuff like on the floor, like outside of the bathroom area?
You only caught the glimpse of it as he was going up before like it goes out of frame, since you can only see the 5 foot by 5 foot space that Shimmer occupies.
Oh.
Is it because he doesn't have a sleeping bag?
Benoit, if for a glimpse, the only part that actually sung out to you and it was confusing and mildly mortifying is the stairwell. The paintings on the wall. You see the tiger-like form of one person, a wolf figure of another, a fox of another, but their visage shows each of them a form of a humanoid and a beast-like form kind of next to them. It's like showing the dichotomy of the anthropomorphic nature. You recognize at least one of them, because the pale white tiger, black streaks. You've been to his funeral. You don't fully know what this
Okay.
house is, but you recognize that those paintings, at least that one, the one you caught a solid glimpse of.
I think I'd be just staring at everything in silence and just kind of processing.
Wait, can Benoit and I see if following we're
Yeah, it's kind of like
him around, like what he's seeing?
Yep, you see exactly where it's almost like you're seeing exactly around his immediate space, and where Shimmer's going, the room projects out just a few feet to show you exactly what what Shimmer is going
Is
through.
it kind of like when Batman has his sound vision thing going?
Little bit. It's like you've got that
That you can
shared
only see
sensation.
around him.
So like that's all you're getting is that immediate area. You can't get any other part of this house, but you get what Shimmer is walking through, the bathroom, the stairs, the paintings for a moment, the landing of the second floor, the approach towards this room where the blood drips along the floor and reaches the door.
How
Shimmer. Oh, go ahead, Benoit.
the character or creature that I recognize, the funeral itself, was I there in as a friend or just in honorific in terms?
For you, it was honorific. You wouldn't consider him a direct friend, but you know how much it bothered Vulpine before she left, brother, and a few others. Like they knew him and a few others like him. You personally never actually had interactions with them. It's kind of like you dealt with it's a shared family. The best way to put it, while everybody else is your brothers and sisters, these were like cousins. Shimmer, you follow the blood. You thought you left somebody, but there is proof that somebody had gone further. What do you do?
I'm still following the trail of who, like I'm trying to do, like who was I supposed to be? Who was I hunting? Like that keeps running through my mind. Who was I hunting? What am I supposed to see?
Intelligence.
What am I supposed to see? What did I miss? You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, give me intelligence. Any of the skills, history, arcana, and religion can all apply here for you.
How about investigation? Should I do that?
You can give me. We can do investigation. You're kind of trying to discern the details you missed.
What do you prefer, Jay?
No, investigation does work. I want an intelligence check, and investigation does work here.
Okay, not good.
A 4.
I'm walking through. I think like it's going through my head like that. Like I'm seeing this for a reason. I'm being shown this. I'm a wood elf, right? So like this isn't like having visions and occasional contact with like Feywild-esque stuff isn't super like. That's why I'm not like he's not freaking out. Like this is some kind of vision that I'm receiving for some reason. I can't figure out why. Did I miss something? Did I leave a target behind? Did I leave a contract open that I didn't know about? Did I kill even more people that didn't need to be killed? I do think that as soon as he came through the door into that foyer, the first vision that flashed in front of his head was him entering this. Was him? I think he made a mistake. He would never go into a house intending to kill everyone in it. He probably had an entry plan to get in here. Something went wrong, and he was caught inside the house. And he tried to reason and say, I will kill all of you, but I'd rather not. And then they decided.
Yeah, and they were like, we gotta do it. We gotta do what we gotta do.
Right. And so, crazy fight ensued. And I'm like piecing that together, but it's like each step I take, there's more unknown memories in front of me where I'm like, I can't figure this out. And I'm just kind of, at this point, walking really slowly. And I think I've probably got one hand against one of the walls, if I can actually touch it, if it's physical, and kind of dragging my hand across the wall, maybe even through some blood and stuff as I walk through.
And you continue making your way, trying to piece the memories of this location. A familiarity for Benoit. Midge, you just simply observe the carnage of it. Your memory is already pretty broken, and you finally reach the door. It's not locked. It's actually partially cracked. Like they were going to close it, but they didn't fully close it behind. It's like they didn't make sure it latched, so it's just kind of partially closed. And you can hear very faintly on the other side.
We do what we have to do. I've already lost a leg. I'll do what I have to. I will not lose this. I will not lose them.
Did you hear that echoing on the other side of the door? You are muted.
I think I would very as stealthily as I can kind of slowly push the door open so that enough of it is like you can see like just this part of him as he looks into the room to see what he can see.
When you look into the room, what you see is hard to even describe. You've been here before, and last time your memory kind of clicks. You opened the door, and last time everything just went dark. And then you were outside. The house was on fire. The authorities were closing in. You had to leave. But this time, as the door opens, you get details of the room. It appears to be what would have been a room for maybe not quite children, but definitely it's a room for two people. The beds are smaller, maybe for like younger adults who share a bed with one bed on one side, one on the other. And there's this shelf. It's like a makeshift fireplace without an actual fireplace. And on the top, you see a picture. It's a photograph that shows this older female, maybe in her late teens, a younger male with her. Nearby is a large lion figure, and they seem to be taking a group photo with someone who looks quite familiar. For those who are observing this immediate scene of the shelf, give me a perception for what detail you could discern from this first glance. All right, Midge. And then Benoit. And as you are welcome to roll another
Benoit,
perception.
can I give Benoit the help back by getting closer to it? I just like to look at the picture for a long time.
Is that
Actually, what you can do is if you can roll your investigation or perception in this case. If you are choosing to investigate the photo more, it'll be investigation. Other details will be missed. Or you can give me perception, which gives you a sweeping view of what's happening.
Pardon.
Sweeping view. Okay. The picture shows this older teen female. The lineage is indiscernible, humanoid definitively. The Leonin style figure with, and this older female who, with the perception you start to discern, looks a little bit like Midge, but perhaps slightly younger. It's hard to tell how much younger, but definitely you see less of the graying. You can see a bit of color still in the hair, but you also see like a bit of like what seems like soot or gunpowder blast, or like the idea of people who work with chemicals, the explosive residue kind of like on the hands and a bit like on the collar, and there's like a goggle outline. So you can definitely make the connection of the similarities there. But what you also see as you sweep further across the space is in the middle of this room, there is this massive circle. But not just a circle, there is these strange runes inscribed in it. It seems to be almost a runic inscription in this pattern. And you see as this older teen girl has her hands placed along the edge of the circle, and in the centers there's this basin of this black ichor that seems to be an amalgamation of a humanoid, but a monstrosity, as an arm is reaching backwards and you hear the bones of it cracking. You see blood oozing from its mouth. It is a decrepit form and an attempt of facsimile of a human. It is deteriorating as fast as it's forming, and the girl's hand slowly starts to wither away, deteriorating much like you've seen the others in corporeal form, but blood is replaced as this figure takes that blood and uses it to sustain themselves and slowly continues to pull. And almost as quick as it all happened, an intangible silver frame of an archway appears, a iron cast door full of languages written, a form of a tree upon it, and it shunts open into this darkness. And both that figure and the girl are pulled in, and it closes, disappears. The basin shatters, and this strange sigil circle upon the floor becomes burned into the wood, and that flame spreads, and the room is engulfed in flames. What do you do in that moment, Shimmer?
You know what? Out of instinct, I don't think I know who this girl is. I'm going to kind of reflexively cast Hunter's Mark on her.
Like as the gate tries to pull her in,
as she shoots through the gate.
Go ahead and Hunter's Mark is automatic, but I do want you to give me a Wisdom save.
Okay.
I want to double check something.
I just want to see if when I get out of this, if I can still sense the presence of that thing that I just cast Hunter's Mark on.
At what level do you cast it?
I only have access to first.
That's right. Okay. So first level means it's 1 hour. It's 1 hour. Okay. Yeah. So as far as you know, Hunter's Mark goes through the gate, and you still have the connection. The flames spread.
And like as the gate closes, the flames spread. I think I just look around. And just try to where I did. I left a something, like I left a string. I left an unresolved situation behind, which is like something that's the reason I get hired for things. I don't do that. So he in Shimmer's mind has an unfinished job, and now that's going to become probably one of his top priorities. But I think I would call out for Midge. Yeah.
Okay. And as you
Midge.
call out, there is a moment with your 26 perception. You will be able to glance. The flames can start to consume the building. You kind of call out to Midge. You see where your Hunter's Mark was, there is something there. It was strange. The gate kind of caused not a disconnect, but it's almost like the distance was too grand. But then it shifts, and your Hunter's Mark gives you a bead on, quite literally, this strange scarlet gem that you see drop from the middle of the air in this room, and it hits the ground before the flame consumes the entire building, almost in a flash of fury. And you are suddenly in a cleaning closet. As Benoit and Midge, you see as the form of Shimmer becomes fully tangible again, corporeal, inside of this small storage closet.
Is the gem still on the ground?
The gem is not on the ground.
Can I do an Arcana check to see if I know what kind of magic is happening, or if I have any idea what the heck's going on?
You
magic
can
wise.
give me Arcana, and you have to do so at disadvantage, as your memories are not complete.
Yeah, but I'm really smart. So my Arcana isn't it's not great, but like she got like there's core stuff locked in there, understands of like basic physical concepts, chemistry. Obviously, I can't make things explode without
Well, I will say in this actual specific memory is locked away.
like
Just roll two
Fine.
20s.
Yeah, right. Just roll double 20s and you'll be fine.
Close. Close.
With a 6.
it only rolled one, so I'm not even gonna roll the next one. That's what it's bad.
Let's see.
I can
We
roll the
got
next
a
one, hold
6 with that because it rolls both of them. It just gives me the lowest since you rolled at disadvantage. With that, a 6.
Okie dokie.
It doesn't seem to make sense of. Which part of the entire experience are you trying to focus on?
Like, why are things incorporeal? Because
The
it's not
incorporeal part?
just. It's like, yeah, like why is it incorporeal? Why can we kind of see it, but only if it's tied or like within the vicinity of Shimmer?
In this case, with
Why
the
is there a
6,
breakdown?
you can't discern why or what, but you can make a semi connection to. For you, even with a 6, your memories are unclear. And in all the times that you tried to remember things, when you start to kind of have this moment of like that where's my keys moment type thing, which you have often in a lot of ways, the incorporealness is perhaps the best way to physically describe that feeling for you. When you can't remember something that you definitely feel like you should remember, it being incorporeal, like you're like, I know it should be there, but it's not. That is the best way to describe what your memory feels like. As you're all kind of in the same space again.
So I don't know what that was about, but I heard knocking on this door.
Yeah.
I was pulled in.
Yeah. What was that?
You got me. But it wanted to show me something I missed.
You looked like you didn't miss a single soul.
I told you I'm a monster who kills monsters.
Hmm. I think Benoit's demeanor is going to be slightly gloomier, and she's gonna back up a step. And you could feel like coldness just kind of set in.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Just don't hit me again.
Go ahead.
I think as Benoit fades away, gets out of earshot. I don't know if you do that, but I would wait until Benoit's not around.
Sure, yeah. Eventually, I'll just
to talk to Midge. Good. Go ahead, JS.
Oh no, I was saying that eventually I'm just gonna be
okay.
with the awkwardness. I just kind of like
Step outside.
Yeah.
Get some fresh air. So then Shimmer and Midge, you're kind of left by yourselves, not counting, Turtle, Mecha Doug.
Midge, did you take notes? Is that something you do?
Oh, because I'm a woman.
No.
Wow.
Because memory's bad.
I don't need to take notes.
So I think maybe you do. Not right now. I'm not asking you to take notes right now, Midge. I'm asking you if you ever have.
What? Of course. And she turns around And like there's it's like steel cabinet, like that gray steel that like for industrial like warehouses and whatever. She just flips it around and there's like a giant whiteboard on the other side with just like notes and like algorithms and grams and like just random things like all over the place. And there's a couple of like papers that just kind of like fly out as she's turning it as well. And she's like,
As
yeah, I
you
keep
reveal
notes.
the whiteboard, something is odd to both of you, right? Midge, you're like, yeah, I write. Actually, important question is, what language do you write your notes in typically? Is it common, or would you write it in the other languages you know?
Uh, I think I feel like it would 100% be Elvish with maybe like some random gnomish interspersed, because I think that Midge studied artificing with the gnomes whenever she was first learning how to make things explode a long, long time ago. And so some of like their shorthand just makes a lot more sense. So you would have to speak both of those languages to be able to fully translate everything.
Okay.
The pun.
And Shimmer, you have Elvish, right?
Yep.
So, for you, Midge, what is strange about your writing is it's not quite Elvish. It's do you have Sylvan?
Me?
I do not. I have
For
Undercommon.
Midge. So there's Elvish hints in there and Gnomish, but some of it is slightly off, almost like somebody altered your own notes. Like you see your parts where you would have Elvish and Gnomish, but there's parts that are like, I didn't write that. However, for you, Shimmer, it is written in what you can only describe in complete gibberish. You can only discern that it's a attempt at Elvish, but it is best case scenario just gibberish versions of, like, it's written with the Elvish way of the flourish and all that, but it is off. And it's not even like you think it's a different language. You're not mixing it up like, oh, maybe it's Dwarvish, maybe it's Orcish. It is just not any, it's nonsense.
Can you? Okay.
Well, sure, I know it's a lot to take in, but if you look at the parts of the board that make sense.
No parts of this board make that much sense, Midge.
Well, here's the thing. It made a lot more sense whenever I was writing it, but I think someone's come into my workshop and they've taken some stuff out and moved some stuff around, and now I can't grab my wrench and you're disappearing and popping up, and then you show me a picture of myself from like why would you even do? I don't know what you're playing at, all right, but whatever it is, if you're causing
You
more
saw
trouble
that?
in my workshop.
Wait a minute. You could see what I was seeing.
Yeah, as you were moving around, I figured that's, yeah,
And you recognize the house.
Midge, as like it's being brought up, and after specifically seeing your board, the details of the house brings in only one small recollection. That was not a house. That place, that was the best way you could describe it is a human junkyard. You're starting to have recollections of some of the work you once did, and it was a lot of applying out forms of like artifice to people. How to change them, alter them, enhance them. Things that you can apply everything you know with machines to people, figuring out how people worked. And that place is where they would go afterwards to stay.
So appreciate this. It feels very Daughter Frankenstein inspired. I'm taking it and we're gonna run. It's not a house. And I don't know 100% where it is. But it's like a halfway home, like a rehab center for things you make with people.
I'll yell down the hatch.
People or out of people?
As you say that, Benoit, you're yelling down.
I'm out of cigarettes. Let's go out. I'm leaving.
Tobacco's terrible for your lungs. It'll kill you. But I've got some down here. No, it's bad. We'll go out.
And you have the jar still.
I take a mental note.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I take a mental note of like the notes and like what she's saying. I'm not sure how much she's gonna remember of it. Like I'm trying to like.
It should.
Shimmer's already super guarded anyway, but in this instance where he's not sure what Midge was into that she doesn't remember, and how Benoit factors into it being like who I saw at the house being like other animinoids. What do we call like mixtures of
That's
people
good.
and animals? Yeah. It's all like, why didn't I remember seeing, like, and yeah. So and I think there's just too many unanswered questions for Shimmer to put too much together now, and he just says, you know what, should get a lay of the land anyway. And he's gonna walk out with. And as he walks away, I think he pulls out one of the weapons, which looks like a 7.5-inch circular saw blade. Is essentially what these things look like. And he says, "By the way, Midge, if you have any extra circular saw blades, I could definitely run it out here." And just leave. I've got plenty for now. Let's go.
And meanwhile, while you're kind of like closing that conversation, Benoit, you have the jar of brother's dust right in a small container.
Mm.
After you kind of finish like doing your smoke, trying to get fresh air, there's a very faint like it's almost like a hum, like very distinctly wherever you have it kind of tucked away. It's muffled a bit, but you go as if it's being muffled by your actual pocket that it's stashed in.
I'll pull it out.
And it continues.
If I swirl it around, does it do anything?
There's a slight distortion in the sound as it goes, kind of breaking from it moving, but it's distinctly coming from this container.
I'll tap on it.
You can go ahead and, if you would like, you can give me a insight or history for what you're hearing.
I think insight is appropriate. Roll, baby, roll. 18.
So it throws you off at first because you have a jar of remains that seem to be making noise, but the rhythm makes sense as you kind of get the words that you remember being sung sometimes. A house is not a home. A home is where you rest. And you remember like that was like some of the rhythm in a song that some members of your family would sing. It's like they would know it before they do a job. It's how they knew, like, we stick with who we are and who we're close to. And it's that rhythm lets you know that tone. It's almost like verification that despite them,
It's ours.
Dust,
yeah,
it's yours. Like, it. You're like, oh, that's our thing. Like, and because there's some members very specifically, as he goes by Sugar, was one of the people who would like very consistently before almost doing anything would just do that song. And the family would do it from time to time at parties or gatherings, but he would always, every time you go out, you hop out the car, he'd do that quick hum. You finish a job, you do the hum. It's like the thing that he would do, and that very specifically his sisters and his like closest connections would always match with him.
I think getting a bit nervous and having a bit of a palpitation hearing this, I'd really reluctantly slowly open the jar and pour the dust in the wind and just see if it's following the wind. Like, just actually, I'll just look what happens.
As you let the rest of the dust go, it immediately drifts left, west of you from this shop, and just kind of goes with the wind. And you see it almost like glitter in the air, and it goes almost perfectly due west.
I'll start slowly walking in that direction.
And at this point, the Shimmer and Midge would have popped out, and you see as Benoit is kind of heading off, almost aimlessly, but definitively with like not a destination, but a purpose. Midge, Shimmer, can you do anything?
Benoit? What? She'll like kind of like jog up to where he's at. Like, where are you headed?
Do you hear this?
You can give me a perception, Midge.
Whoa.
Midge. You, as like it's brought up, you're like, hear what? And you hear very faintly on the wind. Uh-huh. 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 And it's odd. You know this rhythm distinctly. This rhythm is the same one you heard this before. It's like almost a flash is remembering as a growing up you would hear this rhythm. And it's the same one you would do when you used to work in your workshop.
I'll
Right
start.
before you started working on your other works.
I'll hum it as I'm hearing it.
It is not.
I will. Home.
Do you hear it?
Yeah. Yeah, I know this one. I know this one. It's oh, I'm sorry. I can't for the life of me remember where I know it from, but I do know this one.
It's this way. And I'll just keep walking.
With Shimmer following behind. As the dust continues west. As it hums a soft tune, you follow. Yes, Midge?
Doug, and Doug's gonna kind of like hover up a little bit. She's been casting a lot of mending anytime she's like tinkering with things like cantrips. So
Makes sense.
like the rust is off a little bit, but he's gonna like hover up a little bit and just kind of like creak along behind her.
And as you continue making your way west, following that faint hum, Shimmer, you very faintly hear a slightly different sound as that same muffled behind the door.
You can run. You can hide. But one day, you're gonna catch up to yourself.
And that's where we're going to take a bio break.
Well played,
So
sir.
we're going to take the bio break for hydration and all that. Where you take 5. If you need more, take more. Otherwise, we'll be back in 5.
Cool stuff.
Cool.
Perfect. Perfect. Pause publicitaire, bud. Petite pause publicitaire.
Hey Jay, you see my question in chat? I didn't know if I didn't really want to ask it publicly. If the answer is no, that's fine.
Go ahead and I will need give me a history to see if you can free that part.
Okay. Not good. Not good at all at that. Don't recall.
Nope. You don't have not a single clue at all, but I will give you.
I think honestly, Jay, when I saw the picture on the mantle that had Midge in it, I think the first. Well, I don't know if it'd be the first thing that popped in my head. Actually, I think it would take him a second to put this together, but I'll let you know when it makes more sense.
I am sending you the one thing you do remember about the job in terms of that.
Okay.
That's kind of like the best you remember about that specific job.
That's what I was expecting. Yeah. So, yeah.
Do with that what you will.
That complicates things, Jay. You make it complicated on your boy.
Thank you. I appreciate that, actually. I'm doing something right here.
Feels like this is gonna be very different from last season.
What do you mean? It's going to be just like last season.
But we don't have a Laszlo like bringing the party together all happy-go-lucky anymore. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, no, we're in the grimdark era now.
What's this?
Yeah, we're in our emo phase. Edgelords, all of us.
I was so confused. I thought like when I was a perfect poser, just didn't move, and I was like, "Man, your typing skills without moving is flawless." And then it popped off. I was like, "Oh, I see what happened there."
No. My typing skills without moving pretty good if I'm trying, but no.
Okay, so you are all heading west after experiencing a memory directly pulled from Shimmer. Though the memory seems to cover, even for Shimmer, details that he had not originally experienced, nor did he have the perspective that he has now to see it. There's always something about going back through your memories with a new idea, new information that brings clarity in ways you hadn't expected previously. And through it all, you find yourself heading west, following a familiar tune, reminding you of what it means to be home. However, one of you is more so being given a tune of regret, of tension, of dread, even, as you continue making your way west following the tune. Is there anything you do along this walk?
Stay quiet. It could be pretty. Yeah.
Quiet's a good mood.
I think
Shimmer?
after a minute, if you guys don't look back as Shimmer follows, you kind of probably lose track of it as he travels like instinctively in stealth mode. Like he just instinctively sticks to shadows. He's got like a plus 12 to stealth. Like he's just always trying to not be seen. So like if you guys aren't actively keeping track of him, you may just track him after a second.
That's good. I don't think I would like to be around you right now. So that's fine.
Midge has dug with her, and I think she also I think she left her last her last bombard back at the workshop. So if there's anything that she can pick up and like create a new a new little thing just to like occupy herself, Midge is never bored and is never not doing something with her hands. So she would want to like build a little like a little wooden box.
Okay. As you kind of make your way west from those few buildings that seem isolated, very quickly it shifts to what you can only describe as ruins of a city of sorts. Um, Buildings have been turned into nothing more than a few feet of rubble, but that same rubble has a mirage of its former glory, that same incorporealness, as if it held taller buildings, grand events. All around you is what it could have been or had been. And it starts to continue west.
Can we
Go ahead.
D&D mechanics walk at a slow pace?
We're gonna take the slow. Okay.
I think, yeah, and I think I would be like trying to figure out how the city works, how the like when if it was ever corporeal, like how did it work based on the stuff we're seeing? Like, was there commerce? Like, what kind of commerce did they have here? Like, is it obvious that there are government type buildings? Are there like, is there insignia inscribed on things? Like
Based on
anything
where
that I
you
can like
are,
start to put together.
you actually can, since you're choosing to like investigate that, do go
Is
ahead
it,
and give me um
is your favorite
I
terrain
was
urban?
yeah, do you have what is your favorite terrain? Or no, unless you didn't choose that
I know.
version of the ranger.
Like I was just looking at. I didn't technically pick one because I knew it. I mean, this is Downtown Dragons. I was going to make it urban, but I didn't see that as an option. So I didn't
So
know
you
if you
chose
were
urban?
doing that, if that was a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you wanted to choose urban, so we'll allow urban to be
that's
the
why
one for your
kind of
favorite
sucked
terrain.
in the woods. If I'm honest, like
That's what I
trying to
thought.
guide you guys through the woods wasn't great.
I will say, you know the environment, and you can kind of discern where you're at. I'll do it without a check since it's your favorite terrain. You do get a few things. You have
You can find
this
French bread and
um this specific portion of
I
the
find
city
a spectral bakery and get you a spectral loaf of bread that you can't eat.
takes you further than the large ivory citadel that was closed off near the broken tavern and workshop. You pass by several buildings that seem to be focused on different domains of faith, very particularly having a focus on gods, pantheons, and other things correlated to war, the ocean, peace, and all these things. Slightly south of your slight approach, the buildings start to change from the classical domains as they define themselves to more herbal remedies. You see herbal shops that may have been selling tea, maybe a bit of alchemy, and things like ingredients. Slightly north of that location, you get a few potential government style buildings that seem to be focused on a essence of Department of Justice, law enforcement, and similar things. And then continuing, you see that the slight change goes to residential in the near distance, and minor commercial, so less high-end buildings and more like small shopping plazas is what you can kind of discern is where the city seems to be making its change in this direction. But also because you had used this, um,
if we're making
you
stops for the fourth character, you could let us know if anything. I assume she'd want to stop at a religious place, perhaps.
she is making note of it for when she can return. And as you kind of continue going, specifically since you have used this shimmer,
Actually, while we're going, could I also be doing something?
yes, what does you want to do along the journey?
I would tell Doug, because I was gonna just like do a perception check to see if I can see any valuable metals as I go along. But I think I'd rather just have Doug look for me because I'm not focused on that. I want to be building my little bombard guy.
Okay.
So if there's anything that he can find, I like I always tell him to look for adamantine because it never shows up. It's very rare. But just in case.
Okay. Looking for the best mineral, adamantine if possible. However, the best next. Okay. And as the journey continues, specifically for Shimmer, both because favorite terrain and because you cast Hunter's Mark, something kind of tips you off. If you set a Hunter's Mark, how would you know if something is nearby? Kind of let me know how Hunter's Mark works for you in this case. You are muted.
You get bad gas.
He just
Every time.
rips a super big fart. No, I think Hunter's Mark works for Shimmer the way that like paranormal investigators aim. It feels like when ghosts touch you, right? Like it's like it's cold and there's goose flesh there, and kind of tingles in the direction that it's coming from. So even as if he turns to face it, it'll be on the front of his body. If he turns this way, like it kind of stays directional on him.
I've been playing too much Phasmophobia, and that's all the perspective I got going right now.
I had the picture of the one episode of South Park when they go bee wee 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 bee wee 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 wee.
So as
he stops and does that.
Get a ping. I want to see. There's no distance on this, so you are just getting a general ping west, slightly. I want to confirm. You're gonna get something west by just directly due west. Slightly south by southwest, so not the current path you're taking, just slightly left of that path.
Okay.
Which
I'm
is
just gonna keep track of it for now and just keep following
the music.
Sorry, I'm blanking on Benoit. Sorry, just keep following Benoit as he's following whatever he's following, and always keep like a glancing, like just presence toward that direction to see if anything stands out from the normal terrain as like, oh, that's probably where it is. And I'm just kind of making note of how close it is when we get close to where. What I always want to do is Shimmer will always have some kind of barrier between him and the direction he's feeling that from. So like if it's just keeping a big building between here and there, if it's just walking close to a wall, whatever it is, like just as he maneuvers through the city, he knows where the danger is or where his Hunter's Mark's going off, and he will just always keep something between him and that.
Okay. So as you continue down this path, two of you hearing the humming sound, there is this almost discordant cacophony that comes in there very sharply as it's going and it starts to carry on the wind, getting louder and almost surrounding you.
How do I feel about that? Instinctively,
since this is first off the circumstance of dust humming, but this specific sound, you can go ahead and give me an insight.
Is this a sound that's coming from the dust itself? And like
it is. You can actually hear it now. At least that part, when it gets cacophony, you can hear that coming through.
Okay. I'm just wondering if there's a special thing for Lionin and Schmeller hearing.
Thought they had something for hearing, but I could be entirely wrong.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Anyways, it's not important. Insight. Fat 12.
12. All right. With a 12. First off, the sound is uncomfortable in itself, but very particularly it sounds painful, not to you, but it in itself sounds like something is in pain, as if something is like grinding and crushing. If somebody was being choked and trying to hum, that's roughly the sound you would get. And the struggling of trying to keep the humming while losing air.
Right. I guess knowing whose voice I'm supposed to be hearing, I carry the sense of urgency to it. Is it, as we're moving forward, do we still hear it?
You do, and as you if you keep moving, it gets closer to you as you keep moving towards where the sound was.
Right, so I'll just bolt in that direction, ready to just pummel something.
All right, you rush in, Midge, and oh,
Think they might have dropped.
yeah, I think with Mike down and Wit's thing
Yeah.
reloading, I don't think Mike liked the sound.
Hey, sorry about that.
No worries.
Our hotspot died just all of a sudden. I just put 10
Oh.
gigs on it, so I don't know what happened because there's no way that this took 10 gigs, but maybe it's churning. Who knows?
Oh man, that'd be wild if it took 10 gigs.
Right?
Right.
Like,
Welcome back.
That's what I think. I think we just need to restart it, and because I don't think it has loaded. Like, I don't think it will load the 10 gigs until you literally run out of data. And so, I think if we restart it, it should. When we restart it, it'll reload the 10 gigs
Sometimes
that you put on it.
it's also the
Anyway,
cache. If you do that, it should also reset the cache, which could technically help.
we're fine. No worries. We just have to.
Okay.
We good? Can you
Sorry,
both hear me?
whatever.
Nope, they're
Yeah.
freezing for me.
apologies. We're good.
We could
Hey,
temporarily
we
cut the
probably have
video
to
if it
exit out and
helps.
Come back in the room.
Yeah, we could take a quick moment for you guys to reset if you can hear me. Do the hotspot reset if you need to and all that. Oh,
We should be good. If you just exit the room altogether with it.
okay, so you can hear me, and I can see Mike's moving. Oh, then Mike, yeah, there we go. They're resetting it.
Runs outside. Comes back in.
Super fun.
You see them running with their laptop outside, trying to chase the signal.
Okay. We can hear you. We just may not be able to do video quite yet.
Which
Okay.
is fine.
Yeah.
If you can hear me and I can hear you, that's like the bare minimum, and that's more than enough. All right, so, we good, Mike?
Yeah.
And Wit?
Yep. We
Perfect. All right, so we'll run with that. And just kind of use the message if something like pops up and you suddenly can't hear me. So with the fact that Benoit rushes forward, just chasing towards the sound, it's up to either Shimmer and Midge. Do you chase? Do you hold? Do you do an alternative action as Benoit runs towards the sound, towards this large intersection? You can see it's pretty much like a central streetway, like a multi-lane road, but is running towards almost the center of it.
Oh, I'm definitely not running towards it at all. I'm gonna set down the bombard that I've made, which is gonna be a healing, one that provides hit points, doesn't provide firepower, and I think I'm gonna prepare rope trick.
Okay. And Shimmer, I know you're sneaking about. So actually, if you can hear me, go ahead and give me your stealth check so I can double check if anything does spot you.
Okay.
All right, I get it. Show off. All right, Shimmer.
That's a good one.
What do you see that Benoit's running towards the intersection? However, Midge kind of stays back just a bit, sets down the drone. They have no idea where you are, and as far as you're aware, you've stealthed through urban environments before like nothing. So, what do you do in that moment?
Are the buildings around me corporeal at all, or are they just piles of rubble?
They're piles of rubble with the incorporeal, almost ethereal nature. So they do provide a bit of they're a bit of opacity, so you can see through them, but
Yeah.
not clearly. So there is a sense of visual obscurity, but not actual cover.
Okay. I would like to make my way to like the building closest to me on the intersection, and
Okay.
just climb up and find a place in the rubble where I'm hidden, but have a clear view to the intersection that this is coming from.
Okay. You're able to climb into like the rubble a bit and go through the incorporeal edge of the wall and end up inside of a bit of a cover, but in a space where you can still see without that strange incorporeal mist that can block you a bit. And so, Benoit,
Yeah.
you run into the intersection where the sound is going, and as soon as you get to the center, it stops. It is silent, save for a bit of wind that blows through the space of the street. And you see is almost instantly what was a relatively late day becomes immediate nighttime as the sky, which held a very gentle blue tone of a evening approaching, becomes a late evening. There is no sunlight, just darkness and bits of stars in the sky, as some of the streetlights, despite them being incorporeal, manifest a spectral light, illuminating this intersection and giving specifically you a spotlight in the center of this.
I'd look around and call out both names of the brother and the sister.
As you see if Sugar responds.
Okay, can pause just a sec. Like, Whitney and I think missed a little bit of context here. What did Benoit hear slash like
He,
this like name of the brother and sister thing? Maybe I don't know it, and that's fine.
Oh,
like Shimmer doesn't know it.
Sugar
just for the game.
is the brother that we've been able to discern, and the name
Vulpine.
Vulpine, the name that Midge heard and retold that Ikori said, is also Sugar's sister, and Sugar has two sisters that we've been able to identify.
The one I explained to you that was a bit batshit crazy.
Yeah, the one that murders for fun.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Cool.
And Benoit, you're related to Sugar?
It's unknown if it's like.
All right,
all in.
I was
They're in the
just
fam,
casually
right?
asking it because I haven't like
Last time,
Benoit, Sugar.
last time,
Family?
what happened was last episode, something happened where he threatened Sugar, and I got super upset, and I think I mentioned something about you can't talk like that about family, or so that much you would be aware of, but the actual relationship and the details of it, we'd have to like play it out.
So Benoit has not revealed that they're like, oh yeah, this is my brother, but you can make some slow inferences based on details about Vulpine and Sugar that there's at least familiarity amongst them. As Benoit calls out to Sugar, to Vulpine. No response from Sugar, and Vulpine. Oh. It's been a while since I've heard that one. And coming from the opposite side of the street, walking forward, you see a large figured, white furred, more of a canine figure, well dressed, well suited, as she takes the time to clean off some of the blood on her claws.
Anyone recognize her?
she is recognized to you as slightly different, but this is Vulpine, as you would recall. Though she's much older and definitively much stronger than you would recall before. At least in terms of the fact she's bulked up just a bit.
Mistress. I kind of nonchalantly nod in her direction.
Huh. Didn't expect it to be you. And kind of leans over and takes a glance over at Midge. And you. That's a pleasant surprise.
Midge isn't great at insight, but I sure would love to do an insight check right now.
Go ahead and insight.
Oh, you dropped it in the alchemy. Cool.
Oh, yeah. I just dropped it in there for reference. I really should have specified where it got dropped. Ah, yes, a 6. That is a very fitting
Nice.
insight for Midge.
It's accurate.
Yeah, with a 6, you don't
Hello,
get much.
howdy.
As she kind of tilts her head and continues making a few steps forward, and she takes one hand and slams it on the ground as you see along the intersection center where Benoit stands, the ground cracks and it reveals this very faint, like pale golden glow that creates a sigil very similar to the one that was formed in the room in which Benoit, or where Shimmer saw a ritual taking place. However, this time Benoit is in the center of this runic circle.
Mistress, you. It's been a long time. What are you doing?
I'm having fun.
Yeah. I just saw your brother. He was, yeah, he's back there.
Oh. Yeah, that makes sense.
Sugar?
I'll
You,
deal with him later.
what, uh, what do you mean? Deal
Oh.
with?
We're having fun. We're gonna take a journey. Cause I'm a little hurt.
Hey, is this
Midnight does. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Finish.
Yeah. Okay.
No,
So as
I'm having a lag, so I can't tell when we're done it.
got it. Go.
So, as I'm looking at the runic situation here, two things. Do I get the idea that this is who I saw? Like, are they missing a leg, or like have a fake leg of some sort, or like? Because I remember you said that this person I've already given up a leg for this, right? Is that a thing
Yep.
I heard?
Yep.
Like that, and like I'm trying to put together like who's I if I see that rune though, and it looks like the one, uh, I think like the rune I saw earlier, like this, basically sucked her through a doorway, right, with somebody else.
It took a weird weird amalgamation of like the best way I could describe it is an attempt to make a human form, but like completely broken and busted. And this girl who had a missing limb both got pulled into the gate. This figure before you does not appear to be having a missing limb, nor does the limb seem prosthetic from what you can see. And not like it's an obscured, it looks like she looks like she has a full form as she is setting up this ritual circle for where Benoit is. The Midnight doesn't remember. Heard an
Go ahead.
Midnight doesn't remember. So I think we've got to keep hammering the issue. We can go back to where it started for me, at least.
Volpine, I'm happy to see you seem to be You're well. You've grown a lot. I'll try to just, as I'm talking, step sideways out of the circle.
As you try to step outside of the circle, I need you to make me a Constitution saving throw.
Okay, let's go.
Hey, how's my hunter's mark doing, Jay?
It's connected still. However,
but it's not this. It's not this person that's setting it
it
off,
is
right?
not. It's someone else is nearby, but it is not her.
So yeah,
I am gonna go ahead and cast that rope trick.
All right, we're doing rope trick.
Yeah.
Double check what she does with. This makes the extra
I
dimensional
think
space for you.
so. Shimmer doesn't work. Shimmer doesn't work well with partners or really ever with anyone else. But Shimmer's going to assume these two people will make a move at some point. I'm going to ready an action for if they make a move. I would like to try to throw my weapon at this cat, or is it a dog? Cat dog.
It's definitely got
person.
more of a canine.
Okay, yeah. So I'm ready in an action. So like, if they make a move, I'm throwing that thing at her.
Okay. Go ahead and double check some things for this, and we're doing rope trick.
Yes.
It is going to be. It is yes. It is counterspelled. Your attempt to even cast the spell is immediately negated. However, you notice that Volpine does not make a single motion or acknowledgement towards you upon this. Like you're like rope trick. You do your process, and it just doesn't happen.
so I'll keep.
I would
Do I recognize
like to make.
like?
Go with Midge first.
I would like to make a perception check to see who counterspelled my adorable little satellite tower that I carry in my pocket, because that's what it looks like whenever she puts it down on the ground. So it's just like,
Go ahead and give me your
it's
perception.
adorable.
And
I very much want to do
Shimmer,
it.
what were you checking?
I was just asking if I would recognize that her magic got thwarted. Like, she tried to cast something and it got stopped.
It's very obvious that magic was being attempted and then rendered inert. Counterspell usually is made to interrupt a spell that has been cast as opposed to preventing it from being cast in the first place. So you would see like magic brewing and then immediately being rendered inert.
Okay.
Meanwhile, and Benoit, you had an 18 on the con, which gives you the ability, yes, you are able to step out of the circle. You do feel a sensation like almost like it's a painful experience for a moment because it feels like you're being torn apart for a moment. It's like that crippling anxiety feeling where your body feels like it's going to give in on itself. But as soon as you make that final step out of the circle, that sensation stops.
Will be. I'm like I said. I'm happy to see you, to some extent. But what do you mean having fun? Do you want to practice brawl? I mean, you're much bigger than you used to be, but what are you doing here? What's going on?
I want to make sure that Midnight knows, and that I guess we all have her to thank for this. And then immediately the circle expands, consuming a much larger radius, enveloping all of you in a blinding light.
Herself included?
Fades. Yep, you see it kind of expand across all of you. And everyone can give me a perception as the light illuminates all things that need to be true.
Oh, interesting. I got 9 lives. Cat size.
I need to take one of
I'm
Shimmer's
good
eyes.
at a couple of things: hiding and know.
Even Midge. It's okay though. Benoit didn't see it, and that's what matters here.
I'm blinded.
As the light consumes the space, it removes the incorporealness of all the buildings and just leaves only the ruins. However, it shows Benoit. Shimmer's position is illuminated. Midge is shown along with Mecha Doug. You see Vulpine. You also all get a chance to see Ikori, who was standing relatively nearby. As I alter this so that everyone should be able to see the new handout.
Est-ce que the question would be, is this, should we roll something to recognize if this was a spell or something? Because I got a feeling JS would know, but maybe not my character, so I don't know.
Yeah, if you kind of discern what's happening, you are welcome to give like an Arcana check to discern the magic of what's happening.
Okay, I'm rolling to investigate if it's a fairy fire.
Okay. Okay. It is not a fairy
Aw,
fire.
that's
I love
a
how
nat
it's a natural 20, but it's a 19.
But it's still, you gotta reward it. Like,
I got a clear, concise answer.
So, it is not a fairy fire. What is happening is a unique conjuration spell that is actually transporting all of you. But what it does, it takes it's showing you everyone who is being transported as you're all being basically almost like plane shifted, but it forcibly is pulling certain people in the space out.
That's a nice
Um,
mask.
It also reveals one more person.
Do I know this person?
So I'm not saying
Vaguely.
I didn't want to go or anything, but this includes me, right? Even though nobody has seen that I'm here yet.
Yes. It actually what
Right,
happens is
I'm in like the
you
area of
weren't-
effect or whatever.
exactly. You were in the area of effect. It was just expanded to cover multiple blocks, and you happen to be part of that, which does still prompt your desire if you wish to attack. But you do have two targets that that are revealed to you. This Vulpine and another individual who is a slight distance away, who is a fox-like folk, and then another who is this strange fur-like demon. As Ikori is revealed.
I mean, I read in an act specifically attack what's her name in the circle, but if you're saying that I notice another person and can attack
you had a
them
high
instead,
enough
the
perception.
fox-like person, I think noted. I think that I think I had already been glancing out to see who else is here because I saw a counterspell go off. Or like I saw her attempt magic and it just got thwarted in the middle. Not that she fucked the spell up, just that it stopped. I think I'm looking for who that was, and if I see that fox person standing nearby, yeah, I think I would throw one and try to essentially knock them. Either I don't think I'm trying to hurt them as much as, and if I do hurt them, no big deal, whatever, fuck it. But like what I'm really trying to do is pin them in place so they can travel. Right, so I'm trying to throw this thing hard enough to pin a part of their body or part of their clothes or their fur, whatever, to something, so that they physically they stay there. I don't know if that will work, but I think that would be what he attempts to do.
Go ahead and give me the attack roll, and we'll see if it pins.
You can't non-lethal with ranged weapons.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be if it's too much, it's gonna hurt. Heavy hit.
You're going for the ability straight up?
All right,
What's
so you're
that?
going for the
I'm going for
additional
Yeah, are you-
fox folk, right?
My question was, were you going for your special ability or were you
Yeah,
just
like-
attacking? The -5 plus 10 damage, because that's
What do you mean special ability?
don't you have
Or is it like
sharpshooter or
sharpshooter?
something?
That's who that
Oh no, it's getting pretty bad for me now
I do
on
have.
mic.
Oh, let me just turn the video off. Let me just turn off all these cameras here.
Yeah,
table
you're coming in
video.
audio clear now.
Yeah, because you have.
Should be better. I turned off all the video. Cool. So what I'll do? Yeah, I have the abilities. Let's see.
I wasn't sure if you were using
Hunter's Mark just
sharpshooter.
adds
I see
1d6.
abilities like
True. If that was the target.
Right. So
because I did take a feat that I may not have been able to put on this character sheet.
Oh. That it could be
but
your hunter's
it
mark too.
is-
yeah, your hunter's mark would apply here.
Oh, okay. Then even more so would he have
Yeah.
gone after this
Okay.
person if that's the case. Cool. So yeah, I'm going to does a 15 hit?
15 hits, and so I have +5. I don't know why
I
it's
also
boosted high.
I also have sneak attack. I need to add sneak attack, and Hunter's Mark is an extra d6 as well.
Yep, so roll all those d6s.
So an extra 6, so 19 damage.
And then it should be minus that. Okay. As you can kind of see, as everything's illuminated, you're able to throw it. It hits. You have a clear sight as like it goes, and there's a moment with the high perceptions that you kind of see as Volpine like sharply looks over, seeing it being thrown, and attempts to run towards it like in a breakneck speed. Ikori kind of looks around in concern, but the light starts to get brighter and brighter until it's blinding, and then it fades away. And you're all kind of grouped back up in a different location in a parking lot near a bridge. It's like a sky bridge kind of thing, a walkway that seems to lead across towards somewhere else. But what you see in front of you is a bit of fur and blood on the ground in front of you as your weapon is on the floor. It seems like you were able to successfully hit whatever you were trying to hit, and they were able to get away using whatever magic they were using. You can see, again, drops of blood that seem to lead across this bridge. And almost an essence of you've been in this situation before, Shimmer. There's something about this blood that is painfully familiar.
I think I immediately dash after. Like I've let this person get away once. I'm not doing it again. Yeah, I would take off after the blood, just following my hunter's mark, trying to track this person down.
Okay. And this bridge is a walkway bridge that seems to, it's about 10 feet wide. There's like random bits of carts and kiosks that seem to go as it goes up, maybe about like 30 feet up in an arch and continues going. However, you can't see what's in the other side as there's this like mirage kind of distorting what's happening on the other side. But as you dash across, I need for you to make me a dexterity saving throw as you try to dash across this sky bridge. Control 20. Shimmer is just showing off today.
Is that a nat 20? I can't. It hasn't shown up yet for me.
Yeah, it's a nat.
That is
It's
a
a
nat
nat
20.
Oh, baby! You can't keep a ranger from his mark.
All right, you go run, and as you do, you literally realize are you running? You
By
hit
the way,
this
if I
trip.
hit Jay, if I hit, I would definitely have my time warden ability on her to slow her down.
Okay.
10 feet.
10 feet slow. All right.
So she should be 10 feet slower.
As you continue, you kind of run and you hit this tripwire as a random piece of looks like cable tries to snatch around your leg, which it misses completely. And it shows as it tries to pull, and the cable slides off the sky bridge down into the basin below and there's this massive explosion, and the fumes of gas start to leak up. You realize that you avoided a trap that would have pulled you into the basin below.
Fun.
Hey, I think this bridge is rigged.
As Midge watches the explosion happens, like, yeah, hindsight, it's 2020.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
Midge doesn't run onto bridges. That's a thing about Midge.
As you continue over the bridge, Benoit and Midge, do you follow behind Shimmer?
Is there anybody else, or
You don't see them, but Ikori is standing nearby Midge for the time. You don't see anyone else except for the blood drips along the floor and Midge nearby.
okay? I guess I'll look in Laszlo's direction and then, sorry, in Shimmer's direction, and then back at Midge and Dikitwa, pointing at the gentleman. French for "Who are you?"
And the light and there's like only a vague illumination for Ikori for you. At least Midge, you have a clear Ikori, clear as day to you, as the whatever brought it into view slowly starts to fade, and it kind of tilts its head. Siblings. And it fades completely in view for you, but remains for Midge entirely, as it seems looking at Benoit and looks back towards the bridge.
I'll follow Laszlo then.
Okay. And Midge with you kind of behind with Ikori. It bows its head a little bit. I am sorry. Good luck. And it actually turns and
Why are you
walks
apologizing to me? Wait, what? Absolutely. Oh, you don't want. Come here, young man. And she's gonna try to like grab his giant, colossal, demonic ears and like drag him back down to her level.
You know what? I'll allow it. It doesn't expect you to reach for it. It kind of has this natural feel that people avoid it.
Midge likes Corey. Midge and Corey bros. At least in Midge's brain. So listen. Where are we?
As it kind of like shrugs your hand off, it's like and it tries to get to its full posture again, like, and it kind of like puffs its chest, like, "Don't you know who I am?" kind of thing going on. We are at Erocasa Mall. It's where your greatest accomplishment and perhaps your worst mistake took place.
Why?
And like as Benoit starts going up the bridge, and you are like, and it turns back, because you made them.
Perfect.
Midge doesn't say anything back. But her face kind of hardens.
And it turns away again. And I don't want to see that again. I don't want to see who I once was. As Shimmer, you continue over the bridge. You're able to avoid a few of the other similar traps. You had a natural 20, so like there's a few other like pitfalls and small things here and there that you kind of are like, all right, no, I'm tracking all the way through. And as you get over the sky bridge towards the last 30 feet, the mirage moves, and in front of you is this large one-story, pretty wide mall. You see the lights of the sign partially lit up with like part of the letters lit up, and some of it you see smoke billowing from the building Ericasa Mall. And there's this massive, like, golden gilded eagle statue that's kind of postured on top of the roof by the front entrance of this building. And you take note of the cars along the parking lot that separate you about 120 feet from the actual building. And from this distance, you can see as Volpine is helping another figure, the one you hit, and they're like limping their way into the front entrance of the mall.
Okay. They seem like they're in full retreat. Like they're
Absolutely,
they
yeah.
won't stop. They're not like they're running from, right. So like me yelling out for them to stop isn't going to do anything. And Shimmer, I don't think would do that anyway.
Yeah, you definitely get the feeling they are in full retreat. They are rushing to get away to somewhere safe.
Man. I think Shimmer stops. He pulls out his still bloody Chilari weapon. He drops to one knee and gets ready to throw it, and hears Benoit coming up behind. And I think he just holsters it back into the inside of his coat and watches them go inside the mall. And addresses Benoit when he gets there, assuming he gets there just without problem. I don't know. I don't want to assume that, but
Ben was able to follow your path and be like, okay, like what you did is you didn't just avoid the traps, you like activated them all enough where they just went different. They just didn't touch you.
Hell yeah. Well, or of your family, I presume.
I guess they could once be called that. You
What are they now?
I'll wistfully smile down at you and say, "That's a good question."
Where's Midge?
I'll
Been
turn.
here the whole time. She's like directly behind you.
You turn around and she's just in your face.
Jesus.
J'adore ça.
Okay, listen, I'm the creepy one. You can't do that. You can't sneak up on me.
I'm not creepy. That's the thing. I'm adorable.
Well,
Yeah.
where'd they go?
Listen, they went into the mall. I injured one of them. The one I injured. That's who I saw who escaped. She used a runic circle, much like she used to get us here. She's injured. They fled into the mall. I don't know how this is possible. I shouldn't be able to track someone I saw in a vision.
Yeah,
But she's here.
it's not making a lot of sense, to be honest. But I
Well,
guess
we should be careful in there. Any ideas what we might be facing?
listen, Volpine is.
Did you ask Sugar? Is Sugar still around?
I could hear his voice chanting the. Anyways, I could hear his voice, and it just stopped when we met with Volpine and whoever that was. I understand that you've been dealing with some, how do you say, not flavored characters. And I am not so different.
Unsavory.
Yes, that is the word. So assume that she can be of the same ilk. But I don't mind breaking a door.
I assume both of them are dangerous. Midge, are you up for this?
That woman is your sister. Or was.
Well, long story short, I work for her father. Yeah.
It's been a while, but I understand that kind of complexity. So I guess I should introduce everybody. This is Frank. It's not Hank. He's a little protector, so if you stick around 10 feet from him, he'll add 11 HP to, just make you feel better. But 11 HP in game.
Okay.
I think.
What is this? What's happening?
It's a tiny wooden box with like sanded sides, so it's not like a wheel. It kind of has to like roll itself a little bit, so like it moves slowly. But as it rolls, kind of like a tissue box that keeps flipping itself over and over and over again. It produces it produces temporary HP up to 11 for everyone within 10 feet.
Well,
and then once we leave 10 feet, that temp HP leaves, so it is no longer there.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that right? Or
yeah, as soon as you leave Frank, it's gone.
And as you're kind of having this conversation, you can kind of see from this not too far of a distance of the front entrance, very suddenly these runes start to light up along the front entrance door of the mall. This double door that's like meant to allow for large access point. For those that, for Midge, it looks like it's written in a combination of Elvish and Gnomish. Again, with some of the mix of something you can't identify, but like you recognize the notes written along the board seem to be replicated on this front entrance. In the same way that for you, Shimmer, you've seen these scribbles similarly on, well, Midge's whiteboard. Incoherent, but they're glowing on this entrance of the mall right now.
I know that we haven't been leaning so much into the modern aspect of Dungeons and Dragons, but is there any chance I have a cell phone?
Question is, would Midge have had her cell phone?
It's probably not, like the bill hasn't been paid on it in a long time, but it's got a camera on it.
You can pull out your camera, yes.
That's all that Midge wants. She just wants to take a picture of what's going on because this is weird for her.
And you said that the runes are appearing on the door?
Yeah, along the door and literally the front part of the mall that you can see where the main entrance is and the little fountain that's broken. It's like the main thoroughfare that people would enter is runes are like lighting up along the door, the front of the wall.
I
like
guess
piece.
So it's not complete. If before the whatever is happening completes, I'll rush to enter the door before we can lose my. Anyways, I'll just do that.
Yeah, you rush it in. Midge, Shimmer.
I run with Benoit, just almost like a shadow, just right behind him. I mean, Shimmer moves almost absolutely quietly, but you hear behind him as you run through the door, if you can't see me, that's a good thing. And Shimmer, as we get through the door, like bolts off in direction to get like hidden in a better vantage.
Oh, for Pete's sake, everyone's so dramatic. And like Midge is just picking up all the stuff that she's like dropped or like thrown out of her pockets and whatnot. Like Midge picks up Frank in one arm, like she's gonna grab Doug in the other, and just like we'll put one foot through just to like put a hold on the door shutting down, just in case she's forgotten anything else. Like maybe grabs her screwdriver in her teeth, climbs on in.
All right. So as you all rush in, there's a moment where something stands out for each of you. As Midge, you get ready to rush in, those runes. There's a flash where the entire environment of this broken down, dilapidated mall reveals a glorious time in the mall's past. But in the dead of night, it shows you see yourself with various inks that you've combined, and you're using your finger to literally draw these runes as you realize you're getting ready to perform a masterwork. It's almost like something is compelling you to prove something, as the runes that you saw glow as your older self, you see your younger self applying them just as you enter. Benoit, on your way in, had it not been with everything happening, you're distracted. But there's a moment, a flash, in which you see the mall's glorious time, where it's you, Sugar, and two others that you used to run with back when you were a bit younger, just kind of fooling around at the mall. But what throws you off is that you see yourself and your friends, but you only recognize them because you remember being there. But you don't remember these human children, or humanoids at least. One appears more like an orc, one appears a bit elvish, another one having hints of something more of a hobgoblin. And there you are, seeing yourself before you have a chance to even really process it any further. You're inside the mall. And Shimmer, you are arriving when you see only the mall in its current state. The runes disappear for a moment, and you see yourself on the broken bench in front of the entrance, sitting next to someone. This was the time you got the mission request, the job, the one that led you to that mansion, that place where Mitch described as a halfway home. It's a place where you left someone behind, or they escaped you. And you hadn't thought of it before. It never made sense. This memory was obscured, much like everything else had been. But you see who is sitting next to you. And next to you, a younger, only slightly younger version of Midge, giving you the job to go to that house. Before all three of you end up inside the mall, it's empty, glorious, a vision of absolute beauty, of glory days. But before you have a chance to really absorb any of that, I think that's where the session will end.
Well played, sir.
Oh,
Well played.
I know that I gave you a lot of ammo to work with in backstory, but I didn't specifically want me to be like a family eliminator, like a lineage, like I will end a generation. Oh God, that's rough.
Midge did some things.
I like the
Very
amnesia.
cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes you wonder, right? Did you lose your memory, or did you just really want to forget what you did?
You know?
I really love this. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
You're like, oh, that's
I mean, I hate it
brilliant,
because
but no.
No, I know. I'm like, man, how would I torture me with this? It's like, this is really good. This is pretty solid. So yeah, good job, Jay.
I like
Just
the
Like
really
learning
maniacal
it.
shit.
Jay, my theory was that, like, my working theory was that Midge was working for the family to create these like super soldiers and a rival gang to the family like a rival organized crime organization hired me to kill Midge, so she couldn't do that. So this is even throwing me, like, I didn't think of this whole angle. This is totally different from what I was thinking.
Yeah, didn't
Which
expect
is
that.
awesome.
The
That Midge
Spanish
hired you
Inquisition.
to, no one expects the Spanish Inquisition. Yeah.
Well,
You've got-
the issue is the whole memory messing with you issue, where like I was like, man, if Midge hired me to do something, I would remember that, right?
You would
No,
think,
not
right?
really. Like with all this shit. Yeah.
You know, my favorite part so far, it's not a spoiler because you may have discerned that the things that you all can't remember are specifically related to the things Midge can't remember.
I mean, that's not a spoiler and a spoiler.
Right, so far, every time Midge remembers something, you remember something so far.
Yeah, I haven't. That was so
I-
well placed that I didn't realize that was a thing.
I realized it when I saw the picture, like when I saw the picture of Midge in my memory or whatever, or in that scene. That's where I was like, Midge fucking